Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we are both in the kitchen today because we have a pretty darn big project and a pretty long day of cooking ahead of us.
It is early spring and we have lots of birds on the homestead. And in early spring, they all start laying at like maximum capacity.
Right.
And so right now, we've got a lot of eggs.
So this time of year, it is not uncommon for us to find ourselves in a position like we are right now where we literally probably have 150 eggs in the house, maybe even more than that. And it's time to do something with them so that we can get them used up and get them off our counter.
Now in our homestead, we provide eggs for obviously our family, but we also provide eggs for Kevin's parents and our daughter Grace and her husband. So 3 small families of eggs, but we still have, right here, we have 9 dozen eggs.
Right.
And we also have more eggs in the refrigerator.
Right. So we have a variety of different types of eggs that we're going to be using today. We have duck eggs, and then we have eggs from our American breast chickens, and we also have eggs from our silky chickens.
But that's not even all the eggs we're getting. We're also getting eggs from the quail.
Right. And just a bit ago, we were getting eggs from the geese
That's right.
as well, but they have now started sitting on their eggs, so they've stopped laying new eggs, which, as you can tell, is just fine.
So today, Kevin and I decided to do something really fun, work together in the kitchen, and we are going to make 3 big kind of batches of 3 different types of freezer meals.
And one of the meals is actually not even going to be for us. One of the meals is going to be to provide to a family from our church, a young family with 4 kids where the mom just had to have surgery. And so all of those are going to be donated to that family so that while she's recovering from surgery, she doesn't have to worry about at least making 1 meal a day for her family.
And actually our church has divided up all the dinners for the next 2 weeks to provide to that family as well. So to also have some breakfast, they don't need to worry about that. We're really excited to serve that family in this way.
So on top of that, we're also going to be making some freezer meals for our own family. We're going to be putting a lot of stuff in the freezer today. In total, we have about 108 eggs here, 9 dozen eggs that we're going to be using. We're going to separate these into 3 dozen batches, and each separate type of meal that we're going to be making is going to get 3 dozen eggs.
Now we're coming into a really busy time for Kevin and I. We spend lots of time outside. This is a very busy season coming up. So it's going to be so nice for us to have freezer meals that we can just pull out really quickly, microwave, eat real quick, and then get back outside to do more work.
So we're going to close up 6 dozen of these eggs and move them out of the way so that we can get started on our first recipe.
We're going to start working on the first freezer meal, and that is going to be for the family at church that could use some assistance with meals. We are going to be making breakfast burritos. We think that that's a perfect thing to be frozen individually or taken out. It's an easy kind of finger food for children.
Right. Since they have 3 pretty young kids, and they have a 4th child who's a little bit older, but they have 3 kids that are pretty young, we're going to make these pretty basic.
Right.
We're not going to add a lot of stuff that as grown-ups we would probably like, but that the kids won't like. So these are going to be pretty simple to make.
Yes, the ingredients are going to be scrambled eggs with bacon, because I think most kids like bacon.
Right.
And cheese in just a standard wheat flour tortilla.
Even though we don't eat tortillas anymore because we live a low-carb lifestyle, not everybody does. So we had to go to the store and buy some tortillas today, and we're going to make them some delicious burritos. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the bacon ready. Now this bacon is from the 2 feeder pigs that we raised last fall. Couldn't tell you for sure which one this came off of, but this is from the pigs that we raised last summer. You guys watched us raise those pigs. This is stuff we got back from the butcher just a couple months ago. So we're going to start by frying this all up. Then we're going to let that cool and chop it into small pieces so that we can add it to the burritos.
Now, even though there are many ways to cook bacon, I still do prefer doing it in a pan on top of the stove. And I also prefer to cut the bacon in half. I just think it's easier to fry, easier to handle, and I can fit more on the pan at one time. I do also like using like a splatter guard or whatever this is called to just kind of keep all of the oil inside the pan. So we're just gonna get started. I do have the heat on like a medium low. We're just going to keep doing the bacon, cooking it in batches and letting it drain. And then when we're all done, we'll cut them up into little smaller pieces to go in our burritos.
Now, while Sarah is working on the bacon, I'm actually going to get started cracking all of the eggs so we can get them scrambled. Again, each of these recipes that we're making today is going to be using 3 dozen eggs, a variety of types of eggs. So I'm just going to sit over here while Sarah's making the bacon. I'm going to get these all cracked so that as soon as she's done with the bacon, we can get on to actually frying the scrambled eggs. Now look how yellow those yolks are. That's because of all the green grass that's starting to come out, and the silkies and ducks and everybody else are starting to eat the bugs that are waking up from the winter. It just makes their yolks so nice, and I won't even say yellow, really orange. All right, that is all 36 eggs cracked. As soon as Sarah is done using the stove for the bacon, we can get on to scrambling these.
Well, all the bacon is finished. I'm just going to move this pan with the bacon fat off of the stove for a little bit to let it cool. We do save all of our bacon fat for cooking use in the future. And when this cools off a little bit, I want to show you what I use to strain the bacon fat and to store it. I think you will like it. Now, before we scramble these eggs on the stovetop, I'm going to use my immersion blender to mix all the yolks with the whites. With this volume of eggs, I find it much easier to use an immersion blender to just whip them all up. It goes by really quickly. That's very fast and easy. It is so thorough, and just like that, they're all mixed up.
All right, on to making the scrambled eggs. The key to making good scrambled eggs is to start with a pan that is already heated up. Now, because we're doing such a large volume today, I decided to get out the biggest cast iron pan that I have, which is my 15-inch Lodge skillet. I love this pan because you can do so much food at one time. Along with the eggs, the only other thing we're going to be putting in these is some home rendered lard. I've already got the pan heating up. We're going to put, I don't know, quite a bit of lard in here because we don't want it to stick to the pan, and we want that good fat in the eggs. If you haven't seen the video that we did about home rendered lard and all the health benefits of eating home rendered lard versus store-bought lard, go ahead and check out that video. I think you'll be really surprised at really how good home rendered lard is for you. So we're going to let this melt, we're going to let it heat up, and then we're going to get all of our eggs in here and get these scrambled. All right, I think that is pretty well heated up. I'm going to go ahead and put all of our eggs in here at once. The other key that I found to having them not stick is to not do anything with them for quite a while after you first put them into the pan. Just let them sit there and actually start to bake on the bottom of the pan. All right, let's start getting these moving around a little bit. Now, I did tell a little bit of a lie a few minutes ago. I said that the only thing we were going to have was the eggs and the lard. We're going to add a little bit of salt as well. Decided not to add pepper since these are going to be mostly for kids. We're just going to add the salt. Now, there's no big secret about how to make scrambled eggs. I would imagine most of you already know how to make scrambled eggs. So we're not going to do a whole lot of filming of this part. I just wanted to show you how we get started, and I'll show you when we're all done. Now that those eggs are done, we're going to move them over here because we do want our eggs and our bacon to completely cool down before we start assembling our burritos.
Now, while we are waiting for the ingredients for our burrito meals to cool, we're going to get started on the second type of meals that we will be preparing for the freezer for us.
We're actually going to be making 15 individual meals. We have these reusable freezer containers that we're going to be putting them in. And each of these meals is going to consist of 2 separate things.
Right. We're going to be putting scrambled eggs and homemade pork sausage patties in them. Now, each one of the individual meals is going to end up having about 2.5 eggs worth of eggs.
We have 15 containers, 36 eggs, so it's about 2.5 eggs per meal.
And we took out 3 pounds of pork sausage from the freezer. These are from our pigs. We're going to be making 6 patties per pound, so we'll use 15 of them, keep 3 of them back to eat.
I'll probably have them for dinner tonight.
So we're going to start this off by making the pork sausage patties.
Now, this pork sausage is also, just like the bacon, it's from the pigs that we raised last year. This is what we get back. This is how we get it back from the processor when we take it in. It's already pre-seasoned in the packages, and then obviously we have them frozen, and we just pull them out when we need them.
So we're going to open these up and patty them out. I'm going to cook these in the oven rather than in a skillet. It actually takes less time, I think, in my opinion. It's less messy.
And you can do a lot more at once.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get started on these sausage patties. I'm just going to show you how I really quickly make this work for me. And it's super easy to do it this way when you have these kind of tubes of meat. Take it out of the tube here. Now, I said before we're going to be making 6 patties out of 1 pound, and so I just cut them into equal sized discs at first by cutting it in half and then into 3 equal portions. Just makes that super easy. Then I just patty them out with my hands. Just squish them into just a thinner disc, just like this. Now, I already greased my pan. Because I'm making pork sausage patties, I may not have needed to grease it because, you know, they're pretty fatty anyway. Make these into the little patties. And I'm hoping that I can get all of these onto one cookie sheet. They might be kind of squished together at first, but they'll shrink up in the oven. Now, I have preheated my oven. We're gonna be cooking these on 400 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll probably take about 15 minutes. Okay, well, I was able to fit all 18 of them on one large baking pan. I had to do a little bit of moving around and squishing around a little bit, but it worked. So I have a preheated oven, like I said, 400 degrees. We're gonna put these in for 10 minutes, take them out, flip them over, and then it'll only take 5 or 10 minutes for them to be finished. It's really quick and easy.
Well, we've decided we still need those scrambled eggs to cool off a little more. So while the patties are in the oven baking, we're going to actually go ahead and crack our next 3 dozen eggs and get those beat up in the bowl so that when these eggs are cooled off, we can move on to scrambling these eggs right away.
We're both going to work at the same time to get this done quickly. So we'll see how it goes.
This time, we're going to be using a combination of duck and chicken eggs. We love duck eggs, and so we saved these for the meals that we're going to be eating.
Here, why don't we move these over by you, and I'll start on these.
Perfect. That bowl's a little fuller with all those duck eggs in there. They are considerably bigger, especially than those silky eggs.
Well, I've got like 30 seconds to spare before I need to flip the sausage patties, so that was a good use of time to get that done. Now I know that these are not done, but I am going to take them out and flip them upside down, and then we'll give them a little bit more time. They're looking good so far. All right, back in the oven they go. They're probably going to need about 10 more minutes. While the patties are in for their second time frame, I'm going to go ahead and blend up these eggs, and then I'm also going to chop up the bacon so that as soon as the sausage patties are done, we can get assembling those burritos. Well, the timer went off for the sausage patties. Let's take these out and take their temperature, make sure that they are done. We're looking for 160 degrees for ground pork. Ooh, yep, they are over that. That's great. Find some of the center ones. Now these guys can cool while we assemble the burritos for our church family.
So we've decided that we're going to do these burritos 10 at a time because there's 10 tortillas in each package and it'll make counter space just a little bit better. So we're gonna make 20 of them total, but we're gonna do 10 at a time. So I'm gonna lay out 10 tortillas. Sarah's gonna start putting the eggs on and then we're just going to assemble them. Then we'll roll them up, we'll put them in some plastic wrap and then put them all in freezer bags so that the family can have them to pull out as they need them.
Now we've divided the eggs into two. This is half of the eggs, the other half are still in the pan. We want to make sure that we, as much as we can, have equal amount of ingredients on each burrito.
And we did wash the counter after we cracked all those eggs.
Yeah, we sanitized the counter.
So don't worry, everything is nice and clean.
Yep. So this is probably as much egg as we want in each one so that it's not too full when we wrap them up. So now we're just going to go ahead and add the bacon and the cheese.
And if we end up with some extra egg from this recipe, because we don't want to overfill these burritos, we'll just add the extra scrambled eggs to the next recipe, which is going in those freezer containers, because those we can fill up pretty high. Now that everything is kind of put together, the next step is going to be, I'm going to actually roll these into burritos, hand them over to Sarah, and then she is going to wrap them in plastic wrap. And that's one of the reasons we wanted these completely cooled off before we wrap them, is because this way when she puts them in the plastic wrap, they won't get all soggy inside of the plastic wrap. I think these are going to be the perfect size for kids to be able to, pull out of the freezer. I mean, obviously, parents will probably have to help warm them up, but I think it's a good size for the kids to eat. Well, our 20 burritos are done. That is exciting. Meal number 1 out of the way. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna just put these in the refrigerator so that they cool down the rest of the way while we make everything else. Then we'll bag them up and we'll put them in the freezer so that we can give them to that family.
Let's move on to freezer meals number 2. So back to the second type of freezer meals that we are going to be making. This one, just to review, is going to be scrambled eggs and the sausage patties that we've already made. We're going to be freezing them in these individual reusable freezer containers. Now, we overestimated how many eggs we would need for the burritos, so we're going to hold on to these and just use them up when we make these scrambled egg and sausage meals for the freezer. So really all we need to do to finish this is to scramble up these eggs on the stovetop and assemble them. So this is almost done except for the scrambled eggs. So let's go ahead and get that part done. You guys, I almost forgot that I had told you I was going to show you how I store and strain grease. Kevin's mom got me this awesome grease pot for Christmas, and this is where I store all of our bacon fat. Now, we use bacon fat a lot in our cooking. You can see I have some in there. It just stores really well, is very handy, big enough to get a spoon down in there when you need to use it. So I just want to show you how I use it. It comes with a little strainer top that fits right on the top there, and that will strain out all of the bits that you don't want in with your bacon fat. And now that my pan is cooled, my fat is still liquid. I did warm it up a little bit, and you just pour that into the strainer section. And all of the good bacon fat goes down into your grease pot, and all of the bits that you don't want stay on top. It's actually really fabulous. I'm so happy to have this. Now, I know that she did order it on Amazon, so I am going to put it in our Amazon shop if you guys are interested in something like this. But it is so handy, and we do use bacon fat and a lot of other animal fats in our cooking. Let me just come see what that looks like now that I've added that into there. You can see the liquid. And now I'll just put the top back on there, just like that, and put it back in the fridge.
Now that that round of scrambled eggs is done, we're gonna let those cool off just like we did before. We're gonna let those cool off while we start on our third recipe for the day, which is going to be muffin omelets. These are basically going to be miniature omelets that we're going to make in muffin pans, and then we're going to bake them in the oven. They're going to be really good. We'll freeze these individually so that we can just pull them out and have a really great quick meal whenever we want them. So the first thing that I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to pan fry some onions and green peppers. I already have everything chopped up. Now the onions are from the store, but the green peppers are from our garden last summer. We've had these in the freezer. So I'm just going to pan fry these because we like them to be pretty well cooked. Once these are, I'd say 75% done, then I'm going to add another pound of the pork sausage, just like we used before. We're going to add that, and we're going to cook this all together. And that is going to be basically, our omelet is going to be green peppers, onions, pork sausage, and more eggs.
While Kevin is sauteing those onions and peppers and then cooking in the sausage, I'm going to go ahead and crack open the last 3 dozen eggs that we're going to be working with today. When they're all done, I'll scramble those up with my immersion blender as well.
to get our final round of freezer meals ready to go into the oven. And then we're going to assemble those ones that are going in the plastic containers. So I've got my sausage, green peppers, and onions over here. We're going to be putting them into these silicone muffin tins. And then I'm going to put kind of a big spoonful in the bottom of each one. And then Sarah's going to be topping that with the raw scrambled eggs. And then we're going to be putting those in the oven.
First, I am going to spray the muffin tin with some spray avocado oil. I do have the oven preheated to 350. These should take anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes to bake completely. We'll see how it goes.
I think we're going to have more than one round of these. I think we're going to have to do 2 rounds of these.
We'll see, but let's spray them and get filling. All right, let's get assembling the second meal, the freezer meal that we've been working on, which are scrambled eggs with cheese and then the sausage patties that we've already cooked. Everything's ready, everything's cool enough.
Yeah, all the eggs are cooled down. Now this is the second 3 dozen of eggs plus what was left over from those burritos. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to use it all up in these meals, however much that ends up being in each container. I'm going to start with just one of these scoops in each container and we'll see where that gets us. Guess those got a little extra.
That's why I put them close together, so if you dropped some, it'd just drop in another container, right, not all over the counter.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So there we go. There's all of our eggs.
This is 15 here.
Sarah's
15
gonna top
servings.
them with cheese. Now come along behind that and put one sausage patty. All right, I think those turned out really well. Those are going to be super easy, handy to have, easy to heat back up. Now, as you guys know, we don't eat breakfast. We do intermittent fasting, so we don't start eating till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's actually kind of a funny story. A while back, we actually had someone ask us, why do you even have chickens for eggs if you can't eat breakfast? Like they had never heard of the fact that you could eat eggs at times other than first thing in the morning. And I said, well, we eat eggs at all times of day. And they seemed very confused by the fact that we would eat things like this
for lunch.
You know, for lunch, basically. I guess since it's our first meal of the day, you could just call it breakfast. Right. I don't know.
Just not at breakfast time.
Right. All right, look at that. 15 meals ready to go. As soon as the oven tells us that these are done, we'll start taking those out. We'll have one more round to go. We'll get those packaged up, and I think we're going to be completely done. Well, the first round of the omelet muffins are done. We are going to have to make one more round, but we wanted to show you what these looked like.
They're so fun. Now, when we first took them out of the oven, they got really puffy.
Yeah.
They've kind of settled down, but they were all like popping out of here. But they are done. I stuck a knife in the middle of them to make sure that they weren't liquidy anymore, and they look fantastic.
So we're going to take these all out, put them on some cooling racks, make the next round, and we'll be back with you guys as soon as that final round of the muffins are done.
Well, the final tray of omelet muffins is done. We ended up having enough ingredients to do one more full muffin pan.
So we have come to the conclusion that like 2 of these muffins is probably a meal. So this has made an additional 18 meals, 36 muffins, 18 more meals worth of things out of these eggs.
So we are so happy to have in one day used up more than 100 eggs to create lots of freezer meals. So we are going to let all of these cool for a little bit, and then we're gonna get everything back out here so we can see how many freezer meals over 100 eggs has made.
Well, here you go. Look at this. This is what we were able to make out of 100 eggs, actually 108 eggs, and just a few extra ingredients. A total of 53 meals worth of food.
We did 15 of these egg and sausage meals, 20 burrito meals, and 18 meals worth of these omelet muffins.
You guys, this is going to be so nice to have protein-packed meals in the freezer as we go into our busy season right now. I think that these are going to be a blessing to the family at church as well, so that mom can get some rest, and so the kids can have something just quick to go before school or whatever they need.
If you feel like you've got a million eggs right now too, because all your chickens and all your birds are laying because it's spring and they've got all of this apparently egg-laying energy, I hope we gave you guys some ideas of how to put some meals into your freezers and use some of these eggs.
Or if you just want a way to be able to pack your freezer full of things, and even if you don't have chickens, hey, if you have a Costco membership, maybe you just want to go buy a bunch of eggs and, pack your freezer full so that when you're busy, you can just grab something like this out, throw it in the microwave, have a good homemade meal, and not have to worry about the ingredients that are in it.
You guys, we hope you enjoyed spending time with us today. If you're enjoying videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button. And also remember, the best way to help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care and God bless.
God bless.